Hello, I'm Katie from ReadWorks, and today I'm going to show you how to use ReadWorks with Google Classroom. The first thing I want to tell you is that you do not need Google Classroom to use ReadWorks. You can create a digital class in ReadWorks and have all of the functionality of ReadWorks without Google Classroom. The best reason to use Google Classroom with ReadWorks is if you're already using Google Classroom, it will make your workflows a little bit easier. So the first thing I want to point out is that I'm already logged into my ReadWorks account and I'm already logged into my Google Classroom. So the first thing I'll show you is how to get my Google Classroom class, which you can see right here, into my ReadWorks account. So I'm going to go back to my ReadWorks account and I'm going to click on Class Admin in the upper blue bar right here. And if I don't have any classes yet in ReadWorks, I'll get this pop up. So if that's the case, then I'll click Import from Google Classroom. If I do have classes, then I can get to that same selection by clicking Create a Class with this white button on the right-hand side. And then I can select Import from Google Classroom. So now I'll need to select the class to import. And all of the classes in my Google Classroom should show up here once you've logged into your Google Classroom account. If they don't at first, I'd recommend making sure that you're logged in to the right Google Classroom account. And then you can select your class. You can choose a grade. And you'll notice this checkbox here that says Publish Assignments to Google Classroom by default. This will basically take one step away from creating all of your assignments in ReadWorks. It will just have a box that's just like this that will be pre-checked in the assignment process for all of your assignments. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that checked. And I'm going to click Import Second Grade Stars Class. This is confirming that my class has been imported. It's also letting me know that anytime I want to make changes to ReadWorks assignments, that I should do that on ReadWorks. Okay, so here I see the roster for my class. I can notice that it is the same as the roster for my class in Google Classroom. And I'm going to show you a few other things that you can do right here to administer your class. So if you want to add a new student to your class, you need to do that in Google Classroom. So it's helpful to remember that your class in ReadWorks is a reflection of your class in Google Classroom. So that's where you'll need to add students. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new student to my class in Google Classroom. For ease of use, the student is actually going to be me. And then that student will need to confirm the invite. That student has confirmed the invite. I can see them here in my Google Classroom class. And I need to take one more step to put them into my ReadWorks class. I need to go to the options bar on the right-hand side, and I'll select the drop down, and I'll see that there's an option for me to sync my roster. This will make sure that any changes I've made, whether I've added or removed students in Google Classroom, are reflected in my ReadWorks class. So I'll sync the roster. And there I have my updated Google Classroom class. The next thing I want to show you that you can do to administer your class from here is to lock your class. So the reason that you'd want to lock your class is if you have made the link available to students that you don't want entering into this ReadWorks class or that ReadWorks assignment. So if you want to make sure you limit the assignment to those that are in your ReadWorks class here, then you can again go to the options and click Lock Class and confirm that you want to lock the class. So now I'll take a few minutes to show you how to create assignments and send them to your Google class, and then how and where to check results. One thing I'll say about this portion before I begin is that specifically that grading and results are not fully integrated between ReadWorks and Google Classroom. And that is something we are working on right now because of how important Google Classroom has become to so many of our users that are teaching remotely. So I'm going to show you exactly how it works in our system right now, but please know that we are working really hard to improve this and listen to all of your requests for how it should work. So the first thing I'll show you is how to assign a ReadWorks assignment into your Google Classroom. So you first click Find Content to search ReadWorks content as usual. So I need to search for a reading passage. I'm looking for my third graders, and I want to search by topic, technology and engineering. So then I'll see all of my choices here. And When Will We Have Flying Cars looks interesting to me. So I can click on this reading passage and can preview it as normal. And once I've decided I want to assign it, I click the Assign button. And here I need to make sure I select all of the components of the assignment that I want to be included for my students. So I definitely want the comprehension questions and the audio, so I'll check those. You'll need to double check that you're assigning it to the right class. And you can choose to assign it to the whole class, to specific students, or to groups of students if you have that set up. If you want to assign to specific students, you can check their names off right here, and they will receive this assignment, but the other students in the class will not. I'm going to assign this assignment to my whole class, and you'll notice here published to Google Classroom is already checked, so I'm going to leave that checked. So I have the assignment start date here and the due date here, which I can adjust, and then I'm going to click Assign. So my assignment has been created, and I'll show you what it will look like in Google Classroom. Now here I am in my Google Classroom class. So as a reminder, I'm logged in still as the teacher, and I can see that my assignment that I just created shows up here in my Google Classroom stream. When I click through, I can see the student work tab to see if anybody has turned in the assignment, and I can see the instructions here. So one really important thing to note is that these instructions are intended for students. So do not click through these instructions as a teacher, because they will bring you into the student account and it just doesn't work properly. So remember that if you want to go to your ReadWorks account, to go to readworks.org and to log in. All right, so now I'm going to log out of all of these teacher accounts and show you how it will work in a student account. Okay, so here I am logged in to my account as a student. I am in Amelia's class, and I can click on second grade stars, which is the class that I'm in. And I see that my teacher has posted a new assignment. When I click through, I'm brought straight here. And remember that I've never signed into ReadWorks before. So this is all that I see as Amelia. And I can click on this link and I log into my Google account. And I'm brought straight to that reading passage. So here I am, and I can read and answer questions just as I normally would in ReadWorks. And if I go through and answer questions, I can submit them to ReadWorks. So now I'll go back to my Google Classroom account, and I can see that this work has been turned in. So on the upper right-hand side in the student view, they can see that their work has been turned in. On the ReadWorks side, they can see a lot more than that. So they've submitted their assignments, and they can actually see their results. So they can see all of the answers that they got right or wrong for the multiple choice. This is a setting in your class admin if you want to change it to have those results automatically. And once the teacher has graded an assignment in their ReadWorks account, they can actually see all of those results here as well. So just to be clear, the student has to log into their ReadWorks account to see how they've done on their assignment in ReadWorks. Okay, so now I'm going to log back out of all of the student accounts and back into the teacher accounts to show you how you can see those results. Okay, so here I am signed in as a teacher again, and I'm back in my teacher account for Google Classroom. And I can see when I click through Google Classroom that Amelia has turned in her assignment. This is the extent of the progress that you'll be able to see in Google Classroom for your ReadWorks work. So to see anything more specific, to do any grading, you'll need to go back into your ReadWorks account, go to your Assignments and Progress tab, click on Class Results, and here you'll be able to see all of your students' answers. So I can click through on Amelia to see her answers. I can give her feedback. And I'd be able to grade her written responses down here as well if she'd answered anything. So I'm going to give her an incorrect because she didn't say anything. And then she'll go back to that results section in her ReadWorks account to see those results. So once again, those results are not going straight back to Google Classroom, although again, we are working to make our Google Classroom integration even better. So I want to show you one last thing from the teacher account, and that is the student library, because this works a bit differently than all the other assignments. So the student library is a place where your students can read independently. They can access a library of text to follow their interests and read independently. So to turn it on, I'm going to start back from the beginning. To turn it on, you go to your class admin. Make sure you're clicked into the correct class if you have more than one. And then right here, you'll see there's a tab that says Student Library. If you click Student Library, this is where you can turn on and off the student library. So I'm going to enable the student library, and this will mean that in their ReadWorks accounts that students will be able to continue reading independently without me creating any assignments. There are also no question sets, there's no assessment. It's just a chance for them to do independent reading. This is different from all other ReadWorks assignments because it is not automatically published to Google Classroom. So what I need to do to share this with my students that are using Google Classroom is link them to the ReadWorks website. So I'll go back to my Google Classroom. I'll tell my students to log into your student library on ReadWorks. There are many ways to get your students this link, so however you want to do that, you can do that, and you can post it. Now your students will be able to log in using that link. So I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to click this and I'm going to select log in with Google. So I'm just going to go back to that for a second to point out the class code. When you're using Google Classroom, your students will never need a class code. So they can always log in either directly from their assignments in Google Classroom or by using their Google accounts on the ReadWorks website. So they can click log in with Google. I'm going to log in with Amelia's Google account. And here I see a list of my classes. So I'm going to log into my second grade STARS class, and I'll notice that I don't actually have any assignments, but I do have this library promo on the right, and I also have a library which is up here next to assignments on the blue bar. So both of these are ways that I can enter my library. and it'll ask me my interests, and here's where I can keep reading and learning. So that's one way that you can use ReadWorks with Google Classroom. We hope that you'll stick around and stay tuned as we continue to improve this experience for you, and wish you best of luck in your remote teaching.